everyone, welcome back to Evolve with Letty J. If you are new to my channel, please click the subscribe button to become part of the evolving family. And if you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for your love and your support. So today is Wealth School Monday, where we talk all things money, zaga, chalet, and wealth creation. So don't forget that I post videos on my channel every Monday and Thursday. Every Monday is Wealth School Mondays, where we talk all things chankurs, money, chelete, and Thursday we talk all things or any topic that can contribute into you evolving into the best version of yourself, or we can say it's personal development. So since today is Wealth School Monday, we're going to be talking about an emergency fund. But before that, don't forget to head over to my Instagram pages. It's at Evolve with Letty J and at Wealth School with Letty J to check this week's Money Tip Monday, which is related to today's video. And I also post on my feed every Monday a post that is related to the video. So it's a story and a post and a video. That's how much you are loved. Anyway, let's get right into the video. Today we're talking about emergency savings and how to set up an emergency fund and the characteristics of an emergency account. So now, emergencies are events that are not planned in our lives. We don't plan to lose our jobs. We don't plan for our car's tire to burst. We don't plan to lose our businesses or to experience a tough time in our businesses. We do not plan for those events. We do not plan for a family member to pass away. So now what happens when those events come because we did not plan for them? It's either they're going to strain your budget, or they're going to lead into you incurring debt. And because of my previous debt video, debt is a no-go zone, especially if you're funding unnecessary debt. In as much as an emergency is necessary, but let's not use debt to fund it, but let's rather use our emergency savings to fund our emergencies, right? Also, guys, a credit card is not meant to be used for emergencies. An emergency fund or emergency savings account is the one that you're supposed to use for your emergencies. Using your credit card for emergencies is going to get you into a lot of trouble. Like I said, if you want to understand more about debt, go watch my debt video. So let's get right into the 5 characteristics of an emergency fund. So the first characteristics of an emergency fund is that it is a savings account and it is not an investment. So if you still remember my savings versus investing video, if you haven't watched it, I'll link it down below. Go watch it so that you can understand where this video is coming from. So an emergency fund is a savings account simply because when an emergency occurs, your funds need to be easy to access. So in an investment, most investments are illiquid, like I said in my previous video, and also they are long-term. And we want to keep your emergency account short-term. Why? Because you don't know when an emergency can occur. It can occur now, it can occur tomorrow, it can occur next week, it can occur in 10 years' time. We don't know. But we want it to be illiquid. We want it to be less risky. And you know an investment has risk involved. And we cannot afford for you to lose the money that you're putting away for your emergency. Because what happens if an emergency occurs when your portfolio or your investment is making a loss? Then it means you cannot fund that emergency. So, and it's very important to make sure that your emergency savings are in a savings account and not an investment account. Why? Because we need it to be liquid so that you can quickly access your funds, and risk. We cannot afford to take risks with emergencies. And the second characteristic of an emergency savings account is that it needs to amount, or you need to save up until 3 to 6 months of your salary or your expenses. Some people say 3 to 6 months of your salary. Some people say 3 to 6 months of your expenses. But for me, I would recommend that you do 3 to 6 months of your salary, so that even though maybe you lose your job, you know that for 6 months you can still live comfortably as if you were working while you're still looking for a job, or while you're still planning to open a business, whatever it is. So it needs to be 3 to 6 months of your salary or your expenses. It's up to you how you want to do it, but it needs to amount to that. And for me to be on the safe side, I think I would leave it until it amounts to 6 months of my salary. The third characteristics of an emergency fund is that it needs to be liquid, since it's an emergency and you need to quickly access your funds. So it needs to be an account where you can quickly take out the money and use it whenever you need it. And the fourth characteristic of an emergency savings account is that it needs to have less or minimal risk. So like I said before, that we cannot afford to take risks with an emergency fund, because what happens now when your savings are making losses, or when your portfolio is making a loss and an emergency occurs, it means you cannot fund that emergency, which is gonna lead you into incurring debt, which defeats the whole purpose of calling it an emergency fund if it cannot fund your emergency. So it is very important to make sure that your emergency fund is less risky, or it has minimal risk. And the fifth and last point is that it needs to be in an interest-bearing account, because it needs to help you fight inflation. And I have a video where I was explaining interest rates and how inflation can impact your savings and your investments, and I'll also link it down below, so that if you need more background on understanding how an interest-bearing account can help you fight inflation. But it needs to be an interest-bearing account, but it shouldn't be a high-risk account. So those are the 5 characteristics of an emergency fund. And now we are going into how to actually set up an emergency fund. So the first step to you setting up your emergency fund is to decide how much you want to contribute towards your emergency. So let's say you currently earning 10,000 rands a month. I like using 10,000 rands in my videos, but anyway, let's say you earn 10,000 rands a month and you decide that you want to put away 500 rands every month. So that is the first step to you deciding how you're going to set up your emergency fund, because you don't want one month you want to put 20 rands, the other month you want to put 5 rands, 30 rands. You need to decide how much you want to put every single month. The second point to setting up an emergency fund account is to decide how long you would like to reach your 3 to 6 months salary equivalent or expenses equivalent of savings. So you need to decide that, okay, I'm going to put this. First, you decide the amount. I'm going to contribute 500 a month, and I would like to reach my goal in 2 years time, or 3 years time, or 6 months, or a year. It's absolutely up to you. But the second point is you need to decide when you want your contributions to amount to 3 to 6 months of your salary or your expenses. The third point is to calculate your 3 to 6 month equivalent of your salary. And then after that, you're going to divide it by your contributions to actually see how long it's going to take you to reach your goal. So if you're earning 10,000, you're going to say 10,000 times 3 for your 3 months, or 10,000 times 6 for your 6 months. And then if you're contributing 500 rands, then you divide by 500 rands and you see how long it's going to take you to reach your goal. And I'll explain with an example after stating all of the points. So after stating all of the points, I'll go back and explain them with examples. So the fourth point is make adjustments if need be. So on the third point is you're going to calculate how long it's going to take you. Remember, on your second point, you decide how long you want to take. And maybe if on the third point you find out that actually it's going to take you a bit longer, then you might need to make adjustments to your goal. You can either extend the period that you would like, or you can increase the amount of money that you are currently contributing. And the fifth point is to do your research on where you would like to put your emergency savings, or go speak to a financial advisor so that they can guide you on which are the best suitable accounts for you to keep your emergency savings into. Now I am going to be explaining those 5 points on how to set up an emergency fund with an example, and with the help of my friend Lerato, my imaginary friend, who earns 10,000 rands a month, and she wants to contribute 500 months, well, 500 months, 500 rands towards her emergency savings. So Lerato would like to reach her 3 months equivalent of income in 2 years. So her 3 months equivalent of income means it's 30,000 rands, right? So if it's 30,000 rands, then it means that her 500 will not be enough, because 500 rands is 6,000 rand, and in 2 years it's going to be 12,000 rands, whereas in 2 years she would need 30,000 rands. So now leading to the fourth point of saying that if you can see that the amount that you're currently contributing will not meet your goal of when you would like to reach your 3 to 6 months equivalent of your income, then you need to adjust the period, or you need to adjust the amount that you're currently contributing. So now Lerato can either decide that she's going to increase the amount that she's going to be contributing, or she's going to extend the period, her goal period, or she can do both in order to be able to have a realistic goal. And then after that, she would then do her research and find out which bank or asset manager or company is best suitable for her to put her funds for saving towards emergencies. So I'm going to be giving you guys how much I managed to save. So I've been saving for my emergencies for 8 months at the time that I'm recording the video, which is January 2021. So I've been doing it for 8 months now, and I managed to save 16.8% of my salary. Not even my 3 months equivalent of my salary. But we will reach our goals soon. So I just thought that I should share that with you guys. And thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, and share with your friends and their family and their friends and their family and their friends and their family. Until I see you again next time. Mwah. Ahe.